I'm already fogging up my glasses, you guys. Hi, I am Stacy Julian, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm thrilled that Close to My Heart has invited me to come hang out with you on YouTube. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe this YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of the amazing classes that we prepare and want you to learn from and share. Okay? All right, you guys. What a crazy time we have been living through, right? I'm here today because I've been invited to share with you some thoughts and instruction and ideas on how to document your COVID story. This has been crazy. It has been such a rare and unique time in world history. And I have lots of fun and creative ideas for you today, but before we go there, I want to just acknowledge that this has been hard. It has. It's been discouraging, it's been disruptive, it's just been really difficult, frankly. And even though it's a collective experience, we have all processed it in very individual ways. So, and that's part of what I want to share with you today is your story is not like anyone else's story. No one else has a COVID story like yours. You are what history will call or refer to as a primary source. And you may not know this, but the Smithsonian, a National Museum of American History, they want you. They actually want to hear from you. If you go to their website, you will see a call that's asking for you to submit pictures and thoughts, journal entries, just photos that you've taken of some of the things that you've experienced over the last year. This is true for your state's historical society and for many local museums as well. So yes, people in the future are for sure going to Google, right? They're going to Google the statistics and the facts. But what they really are going to want to learn from and connect with is personal story, right? Our personal stories. So my purpose today is to give you several ways in which you can begin to look back and document, tell some personal stories about a global pandemic that we have hopefully mostly lived through. So, stories. What is a story? A story is just a compilation of photos and words. And that's true for COVID stories. Most of us have lots of technology. We have amazing technology that we carry around with us in our pockets. We call them phones, right? Smartphones. But really, most of us, I think, take more pictures with our phones than we make phone calls. So I want to show you the first thing that I would have you do so that you can gain greater access to the pictures you've likely taken over the last year. And whether you have, it doesn't matter what kind of smartphone you have a photo application or a photo app on that phone. And what I want you to do is set up an album. So you might have to learn how to do that, but learn how to set up an album. I want you to call it COVID Story. And then I want you to go back, start with March 2020. That's when, right, this pandemic was declared. And I want you to go back to March and just scroll through your pictures. And as you scroll through and as you come to photos that you're like, yeah, that represents or illustrates something that we experienced, I want you to just select that photo and then copy it or drag it into an album. So you can see right here, I have a COVID story album on my phone. And I can now see as I scroll through just COVID related pictures. That makes my job of compiling stories so much easier. So that's step number one, start to compile your photos. And as you go through, I want you to add a heart, or maybe it's a star on your phone, to some of the photos that are your most favorite photos, okay? And you'll be able to see that on your phone when because you'll be able to see in my phone a little white star, or you'll be able to see as you scroll through that there'll be a heart or a star somewhere that you're like, okay, that's one of my favorite COVID photos in my COVID story album. All right, once you've gone through the last 12 months and you've created a selection of COVID images, the next thing I want you to do, okay, because pictures are lovely, they're fantastic, they illustrate things to us and to people who are close to us, but they don't actually tell the story. So it's pictures plus words. So then I want you to pick up your laptop if you have one, go to your computer. You could even just do this again on your phone in your notes app. But as you scroll through those pictures, I want you to take notes or dictate just basic details, kind of the facts, the circumstances that accompany those photos throughout the last 12 years, okay? Now, I've done this, and we're gonna show you, as I talk to you, we're gonna show you what my document looks like. I just created paragraphs, a paragraph for each month of the year, and then I looked at my photos and I was like, oh yeah, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And before you know it, you've got a page or two or three of what is a personal history, a chronology of what your life looked like over this past year. So that's how we prepare you guys to get more creative with our story, is we gather photos in a concentrated way, and then we start by telling an overview in words. That's our photos plus our words. Okay, so once you spend time with these pictures and these words, all of the memories are going to be more available to you. They're going to be fresher in your mind, and now you're going to be ready to do something creative, okay? Tell some really fun stories. I want you to hear me though. If you have never scrapbooked before, you are welcome here. Okay, this is a party for you. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to feel creative to begin telling your story. And I have ideas for you that are super easy and some that are a little more involved, but I'm going to step you through them so that you can see how totally doable it is to grow your creative abilities and have more fun, especially with awesome, close to my heart products. So I introduced myself as Stacy, and I have partnered with Close to My Heart on a line of products that are actually designed to help you tell stories. It's a product line called Story by Stacy, and it's just they're kits and other products that are specifically, as I said, designed to be helpful to you as you ramp up and grow your confidence as a storyteller. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to realize that's super important is that as cool as it is to carry tens of thousands of images around with you, we need to make sure that we're archiving some of these pictures. So the easiest thing you can do is print some of your pictures. Close to My Heart has partnered with Persnickety Prints. We love Shari and her company, Persnickety Prints, and there is a super cool subscription-based program that you can participate in. I use it and love it, and it's called Persnickety Box. So every month you can just on your phone in a very simple way, especially if you have a COVID story album, right? You can swipe a few of those photos into a box. And when you've accumulated 30, then that box is automatically shipped to you, and it's a beautiful box, and you can write on it. Okay, so the easiest way for you to document your COVID story is to just print a selection of photos. I'm going to show you some of these super high quality prints, okay? The first photo that I want you to think about including in your COVID story is that last picture you took before everything shut down and turned upside down, all right? So this is my family all gathered with close friends at a restaurant. Remember when we used to do that? Okay. And then within a couple of days, shelves at the grocery store were empty and you couldn't get toilet paper anywhere. I know that you have pictures like this. I had to drive across multiple states to go pick up my son who was a freshman in college because his campus closed down. But it was awesome. We stopped to take this beautiful picture of a rainbow that to me was a little signal or symbol that everything was going to be okay. So as you go through your COVID pictures, again, you're going to select, like, what about the first? I had to learn how to sew masks. Remember in the beginning, before they were readily available at every check stand? And so I took a picture of that first mask. And we used to take, in the very beginning, so many long walks around our neighborhood. And there would be chalk art that neighbors left to cheer each other up. And we started working from home and studying and going to school from home. We did puzzles. We collected memes. So you know the kind of pictures. I know you have pictures like those. You could do, the easiest thing you could do is just print some in very high quality, right, fashion. And that's what persnickety prints is all about. You can keep those pictures in the box, but here's another cool idea. Close to My Heart has actually created a little 4x4 album, and it's very easy to just slip those pictures down inside memory protectors that are sewn into that album. And there's even an extra protector where you can write a little summary of your experience. And there, you're done. If you want to decorate the cover, go for it, but you don't have to. So storytelling at the easiest and entry level, way, okay? Okay, so the next idea I want to share with you is also very doable, a little bit more creative, and it has the potential to help you go a little bit deeper with your memories. We love those chronological details that I want you to type up, okay? And facts are important, but we also want to begin to navigate some of our feelings. And I do that best by asking myself questions. So when I'm thinking about a particular topic, and in this case, this pandemic, I actually close my eyes and I just think of questions in my mind, like, who are the people that I most associate with this experience? Or what are the places? What are some of the things, right, that are going to define this time in my life for me? And about a year ago, I got together with Close to My Heart. We did a really fun Facebook Live, and I shared questions, and I have them for you today as well. If you want it down below the video, they'll be linked, but there's several questions that you can ask yourself that will help you, again, excavate some of those deeper, some of that, more important, more personal stuff that we want to include in our stories. Okay, so here's another idea, and this one uses one of my Story by Stacy kits. It's the Story Starter Kit. After I've asked myself questions and I've kind of gathered these sensory memories, then I have what I need to compile, right, a little album. And the Story Starter album, you guys, is so non-intimidating. It's just 4x4, and it's set up, it's fun, it's colorful, it comes in multiple designs, but it's set up for you to include some of those pictures, the kind of pictures that I suggested you print, like with a persnickety box. You can take some of those pictures and actually use them in this little album. And then you pair them with, hopefully, your handwritten memories. Your handwriting is a very personal imprint. And as you begin to tell this story, one thing that I love to do is start with a repeatable phrase. So you'll notice as I go through this, I always start each little page's writing with "this is something." Okay, so this is serious. And I talk about why it feels serious. This is shocking. Doesn't feel good to go to the grocery store and have empty shelves. This is so surprising, right? Children returning home that you weren't anticipating would come home. This is hilarious. Thankfully, there was humor in a lot of the memes that we saw on social media. So this little album can come together so quickly for you. You can add stamped images, and I'll be talking about that later. But I want you to just practice moving past the facts into some of those more personal feelings. So this is reassuring. This is disappointing. This is heartwarming. What are all the different emotions, that you and I, and we all process? They'll be different for you than they were for me, but these are the kind of things that we have the opportunity to compile and put together and archive in a beautiful way for our families now and for the people who will follow us. Okay, who wants to do a little bit more? Who wants to get a little bit more creative? I do. If you would like to add some COVID story to, let's say, a traditional scrapbook and actually try your hand at scrapbooking, I suggest we go back to that album on your smartphone. All those pictures you've created, all those pictures that you've gathered from the last 12 months. And this is going to be a little tricky, but it's going to be good. It's going to be super good for the storyteller in you. I want you to go through them a couple times because I'm only going to give you one picture for each month. So you're going to have to really think about what's the photo that best represents, right, everything that I typed up for that month that best illustrates what we experienced that month. And then I want you to print all 12 of those photos, okay? Now, what I have here in front of me is a 12 by 12. This is a traditional scrapbook page that goes in a big 12 by 12 album. And you can see that I've printed 12 photos, okay? Now, it's not hard, you guys, but you can then, once you arrange those photos, and this is the easiest kind of page to start with because you can just lay these pictures out in a grid, right? And then what I did was scoot that bottom row down a little bit and I added just stickers, really fun stickers. Close to My Hat has the most amazing kits of product that are super coordinated. So I added just this big "We're all in this together" sticker. And then you'll notice on the corner of each photo, and I'll show you these letters later, but I've got 3 for March, 4 for April, May, June, July, all the way through December, and then starting again January, February. So on one page, I have visually represented my whole COVID year, okay? And I want to show you one other tip that's really fun. It's something that you can do with Close to My Heart cardstock because it has a white core. This is my hands down favorite cardstock. I love to take a little sanding tool. Now this is an older one that Close to My Heart used to make, but you can just use a piece of fine sandpaper or even like an emery board, and you can just distress the edges. And I've done that through all of the pages that I'm going to show you today, okay? And there's good reason for that because this year has been kind of rough, right? It's been distressing. So even the design of my page suggests that in a way. And I think that's just a really fun tip for you to try. Okay, do you remember what the definition of a story is? It's photos plus words. You didn't see a lot of my words on that first scrapbook page. So what I suggest now is we go back to that information that you typed up. I want you to just print it out, and I want you to use those same numbers. 3 is for March, 4 is for April, and you can see that I printed up, after I spent time with my pictures, I printed up a little paragraph for each month of the year. It's fun after you've compiled, written your own personal information. It's fun to add just a little consistent fact. So under each month, I've added the total deaths. It's not a very fun fact, but it's an important fact. The number of deaths that were recorded in the United States. So wherever you live, you might want to record some bit of factual information. And then when you turn over here to December, yay, first vaccines given. And then January, February, and then I noted when my husband received his vaccine and when I received my vaccine. And then I typed, what a year to remember. Please, please, please always note who who wrote it. This was written by me, and I printed it on April 20th, 2021. Okay, so you've got this information. It's now off of your computer. We want to get stuff out off of our technology and archived, right? Physically archived. So where does it go? All right, I suggest we make another big 12 by 12 page. And this page is so fun. This is a pocket page. And really all it requires is a full sheet of 12 by 12 paper and a half sheet. And then Close to My Heart paper comes with really fun, right on the edge of every piece of pattern paper is something called a zip strip. And so I cut that off and just adhered it to the top of my pocket. I actually used my sewing machine, you guys, to stitch around the edges of my pocket. But you can just use adhesive, you can use a staple, you can use staples or any other kind of attachment to create a pocket. And then of course in our pocket, that's where we're gonna slip the story. So now look at this together. We now have a spread. So when you have, right, two pages that sit across from each other in a big album, that is a layout or a spread. And we've got our pictures, our photos, and our words. Now, there are other things besides pictures and words that help us tell a more robust or interesting story, aren't there? I started this video wearing a mask. So I want you to think about including some of those kind of things in your stories. And even that's why it's so fun to have a pocket page. So if we look down at this pocket page again, I want to show you a product that Close to My Heart has. I love, love, love them. These are called flip flaps and they come in multiple sizes. I'm going to show you several today, but I have taken a flip flap that is 6 by 6 and look what I inserted. My favorite mask. Now I'm not done using this mask, most likely, but for now I am putting it in a flip flap. A flip flap will protect any piece of memorabilia or something that's tangible that you want to include in a scrapbook page. And it has a little strip of adhesive so that you can close it up, or if you just flip it around, it makes another kind of pocket. So I take that mask and I slip it into my larger pocket, and I now have the beginnings of an amazing COVID story. And then look, a complete spread with pictures, words, and meaningful memorabilia. Okay, so we already have a beautiful spread, a beautiful 12 by 12 page paired with another page. We've got pictures and we've got the words and memorabilia tucked into a pocket. But guess what? You know this is coming. There's more, you guys. There's so much more that we can do with storytelling. I personally love to do what's called extend a story. So let me show you what that is all about. So if we look down at my beautiful page here, you can picture it just like this in a big album. Or what if you take this page and you insert it into a Close to My Heart memory protector? And I'm just going to tell you why I do this, that I only use Close to My Heart memory protectors. They are so worth it. If I ever buy another album, I pull out the protectors and I get Close to My Heart protectors, okay? So what if instead of using two protectors, we just insert this photo page on the opposite, or I should say this pocket page on the back of the photo page. This becomes a foundation for layering other page protectors, other memory protectors in different sizes on top. And this is where I want to tell you about two additional Story by Stacy products. Because if you're new to scrapbooking, you know, you're like, what is she talking about? What do you mean different sizes? So there is a product that is just the memory protector pack, and inside it is everything in terms of protectors that you need to create a layered extended story. So there's the 12 by 12 protector that I just slipped our foundation page into. It also comes with an 8.5 by 11 protector, a little 6 by 6 protector. I love that size. And then it comes with two awesome Pocket Plus pages or protectors that have pockets that are sized just right for photos, okay? So let's work with these layers and let me show you how an extended story comes together. There is also, real quick, the Story by Stacy Storytelling Pack. And I love this so much because, as I already said, totally designed to help get the story out of you and onto and into your scrapbooks. This little kit comes with elements that you can use to tie all of these layers together. So first of all, you get 2 sheets of awesome tiny letter stickers. And you'll notice that's where I got the numbers, right, to place on the corners of my photos. I love the size of these stickers and the fact that you get so many of each individual letter. You are not going to run out and you get 2 sheets, okay? Also in the storytelling pack, you get awesome insert cards. And some of them have words printed on them, and I'm going to show you them later. But words like change and love and tradition. And there are some blank insert cards. There's some awesome grid cards. The word remember. And you get multiple. You get 4x6 insert cards, and you get 3x4 insert cards. You get 2 of each design in those sizes. Look at these cute 3x4 cards. 5 things. Just the word curious. These are cards that you can add stickers to, embellishments, inks, and totally adapt to any colors that you're working with and work into any design, any extended story. So I love that they're pre-printed, and I'm going to talk to you about how I use them to add layers to my story. So I want to move this page just to the side for a minute. I'll put it over here. And I want to bring in this first layer that I want to add. And this is the Pocket Plus 3x4 pockets. And I like to think about each of these additional layers as having a purpose. So when I think about COVID-19, I think, what is it that I never want to forget? And I looked back through photos in my little album on my phone, and I thought of things like, I never want to forget that we played cards every night after dinner. Our favorite game was called Village Idiot. I never want to forget that we learned to wash our hands for 20 seconds. And I want you to notice something here, because these might be 3x4 pockets, but this, you guys, is a 4x6 print. And all you have to do is slice it in half to make it fit into those pockets. So they're super versatile, even though they're a specific size. When you turn this over, I never want to forget that I hate how my glasses fog up when I wear a mask. I never want to forget how we binged YouTube and movies and made all kinds of snacks. I never want to forget my friend who made this adorable Christmas ornament, and the fact that for Christmas I gave my son a toilet paper scavenger hunt. So these are some of the things I never want to forget. I have pictures that remind me of them, and now I can put them in a very special layer of my extended story. So I'm going to show you how I actually use some of those insert cards and inks and embellishments to add, the design and the fun dimension to the different layers. Okay, so first, let's flip this back over, and you'll notice that I have used this insert card. It's a 3x4, and it just has a fun kind of half circle that you can stamp a word in or add a sticker to. So I'm going to add the sticker from this fun sheet, virtual hugs. I never want to forget virtual hugs for sure. Okay, pull it over just a tad so it kind of lines up. And then I'm going to stamp the words never forget. That's the title of this layer. And here's one more awesome product that I want to tell you about, because this is a stamp set and it's called Stacy's Hand. You guys, this is my handwriting. It's so fun. It's so fun because it's as imperfect and imprecise as I am. All right. It's very, very fun to use. You don't have to be super careful with it. So if you're not familiar with Close to My Heart stamps, they are acrylic. I love them. And you mount them or stick them to an acrylic block, okay? So with letter stickers, you're going to put your letters on backwards. But there's a little line across the bottom of the block that will help you do it sort of straight-ish, okay? I've already placed the word never for never forget, all right? And then I'm going to just, and I've also, when stamps are brand new, you want to kind of season them. If this is the first time you've used them, you want to just march them across your arm. Just make sure that you remove kind of that new, whatever it is. It makes it give you a better impression, okay? So now I'm just going to ink it up. I'm using black. I'm going to come over to my, oh, I want to tell you one other tip that's kind of fun. Each stamp set comes with a piece of foam, and it not only protects the stamps, but this is what I learned kind of recently, you guys. You can place it under what you're stamping, and it gives just a little bit of cushion for your stamp so that you get a nice, clean, solid impression. And then you just go straight up, and there's your word never. Oh, and I actually smeared it a little bit, but that's okay. All right, but let me show you now how easy it is. And with Stacy's hand, this is one thing I love about this stamp set that we created, is there are multiple letters. Like there's a capital N and a lowercase n. There are multiple E's. So you can spell out a whole word, which is super awesome when you're spelling out words. And I'm going to leave that R there because now I want to look for capital F. And I'm just going to line it up on that line, and then I have two sizes of O. I'm going to do the small O and that small R, and I think just for fun I'll do a big G. I love to mix the big, sort of the capital and lowercase letters, and I'll use this E and then a T. Maybe I'll do the T. There's a couple T's. This one has a little flip up at the end, and that's fun. And every time I do this, do this word, I won't stamp it the same as on my sample, but that's what's fun about it. It's fun about the Stacy's Hand, the stamp set. Okay, I'm going to ink it up, bring it over to my insert card and impression. And now the other thing I love to do when I'm creating, these little pages, these little cards to insert, is I love to add embellishments. And so I'm going to add some enamel dots, and I usually pull them up with my scissors, the tip of my scissors, and kind of grab it there because otherwise it falls. And I just am going to place a couple of those. They come in different sizes, and so when you add enamel dots, you want to make sure you are using different sizes. That's going to look better just from a design standpoint to mix the sizes. Okay, and then grab this little blue one. Sometimes I use a little paper piercer. That's also easier. Okay, so there you can see that's how I created like that card to slip into my never forget layer of my extended story. Okay, with an extended story, you guys, sometimes you're like, well, okay, I want to add more, but what do I add? How do I know what additional pictures and information to add? And I'm going to tell you something I've already told you, but I'm going to say it again. You use questions. So below the video, yes, we've linked that set of questions that I created a year ago, but guess what? I created a new set of questions for you today because we're now at this point in this pandemic that we can begin to look back. So these questions are designed to help you do just that. And again, they will be linked below the video, so they're really easy for you to print them and then just use them. Just write right on the questionnaire and fill out, create some notes that will give you the direction you need to add additional story to, layers to this extended story that we're creating. Okay, so let me show you how I've done that. And these questions, these new questions, are designed to help you use the insert cards in the storytelling pack. So it's super cool and like linked together. All right. So the next layer I want to add is this Pocket Plus page that is 6x4 pockets. Okay. I'm going to show you the finished product. And then I'm going to show you how I did some of the techniques that make this fun and colorful. But first I want to just walk you through some of the questions. Okay. So for example, and let's actually start on this side. The first question is, from your perspective, who or what experienced or endured the biggest change physically, mentally, and or emotionally during the past year? So for me, That was my son Taft, who was experiencing a very normal freshman year at college and just had that canceled. And he had some other plans that changed very abruptly, plans to travel to a foreign country, and that hasn't been possible for him to do yet. So he's my person in our family that really experienced a ton of change. And you can see how I just took that change insert card, and I'll find it here for you. Because the cards, if you don't realize this, they look kind of plain, right? And you're like, well, how do I, fancy that up? So all I've done is cut some pattern paper and just layer it on top. I stamped the words looking back and then layered a picture of Taft and some of the things that he has, accommodated himself to because of COVID. All right. So let's look at question number 3. When you look back, what 3 things about daily life during the COVID-19 pandemic define your experience? So as I ask myself that question, I'm like, masks, right? Totally. And then no travel. I love to travel and we haven't been able to do it. And then also just this idea of technology. We've been able to connect with family and friends. I love to teach classes online. I mean, God bless Zoom. As tired as we are of it, I mean, what a blessing technology has been over the last year. So those are my 3 things. And I absolutely love, love, love. See if I can find it here. Oh, no, I have it right here. I absolutely love this storytelling insert card. And it's a Venn diagram, you guys. And I want you to see this is the same card. And I want to show you how I added this color. This is just ink. This is just some of Close to My Heart's awesome ink. And I'm going to use the lemonade pad and this little sponge dauber. And what I've done is just cut the negative. It's a 2-inch circle, okay? And I've got the negative space, and I'm going to layer that over the top of one of the circles. And I like to just kind of start off that shape so you kind of get used to it. And I just move onto that circle and I fill it in, and I can make it as light or as dark as I want. And the more ink I add, the more, the darker it gets. And you can create a nice, even circle of color. Now, here's a tip for you. You don't want to write your words first. You want to ink your circles first, and then give the ink a little bit time to set, okay? And then when you pull it up, and it'll kind of even out as you give it some time, all right? But you can see there's my yellow, and then I would just do the same thing with, 2 other colors, maybe other colors that match the papers I'm working with. And then once that's had time to set or dry a little bit, then you can take a permanent journaling pen and add the 3, your 3 answers to the 3 things about daily life that define COVID for you. Okay? Okay, let's move down to this pocket and an additional insert card. And this one has the word curious on it. And I love that word because after everything we've been through, what are you curious about? And you can see how, even though that is designed to fit in the 3x4 pocket plus page or layer, I can absolutely just layer it on top of a piece of cardstock, right? I've stamped the word always, and then I can handwrite what I'm curious about. And as I thought about what I'm curious about, I happen to love emojis. I use them all the time in text messages. So I was like, hey, I wonder which emojis, right, were most popular during 2020 and during this pandemic year. And of course, Google had the answer. And so then I was able to just print those emojis out. Of course, we love the heart, thumbs up, I think that's happy tears. And then, of course, these emojis have experienced a definite increase in use. The little masked face and virus and that shot, because now we're getting vaccines. Okay, let's turn this layer back over. And I want to point out 2 other things that I've done. Look here, you'll see that this insert card has a half circle and the word love. And here's how I've applied it. So I've layered cardstock on top that, of course, I've distressed with the sanding tool. And then I printed a smaller picture, and I was able to use an X-Acto or cutting knife and just cut right around, most of that circle and kind of stick my photo right underneath the love. And this corresponds to the question that says, what has this global pandemic helped you recognize with more appreciation and love? I'm a brand new grandma, so I have a granddaughter, and then I have parents that live in another state. So when we were finally able to get together just 2 weeks ago, it was way more amazing than maybe it would have been. And so I love that this pandemic has helped me value with more intensity the connection that I share with extended family members. Seeing my parents meet my granddaughter and taking 4-generation pictures was amazing. Now look back down one more time. I want to show you sometimes you might not always want to include a photo and words, and so you can absolutely create something decorative to slip into a pocket. So just a piece of cardstock, and again, close to my heart, pattern papers, these packs that are designed to go together. The stickers coordinate with the ink and coordinates with the cardstock. It's all super, super awesome. But look how fun it is to just take a 4x6 piece of cardstock. I've distressed the edges, of course. I'm going to just take this little house, put it in the middle. And I love this. This is so cute. It says, like a good neighbor, stay over there. If that doesn't illustrate social distancing, I don't know what does. And you can layer. I think stickers always look better, you guys, when you let them touch a little bit. And then I just took the quarantine word strip and added that there. And then, of course, a few of those enamel dots that I already showed you. So it's super easy, you guys, to add, a pocket plus layer to a story. And if you'll just look at each, pocket insert, one at a time and think about what combination of photos or insert card do I want to include? Do I want it to just be decorative? And then just practicing basic techniques, that involve layering stickers and maybe doing some inking. And as all of those individual, pockets come together, you're creating a really great new layer for your extended story. Okay, let's review what we've already created. If you look down, we've got this awesome foundation page that's our pictures and our words and some memorabilia. And now we've created 2 layers of pocket pages. And the beauty of all these layers that is, of course, all of the holes line up, right? So you can slip them all into a big scrapbook album and create what's almost like a chapter. Now, what happens, you guys, if you've saved some additional kinds of memorabilia? Like on that very first Friday when everything shut down, my husband, knowing the documenter that I am, brought me home this special section of the newspaper titled How to Navigate the Coronavirus. And you might laugh, but I've saved it for a whole year. And what I did to add it to my story is I unfolded it, right? This is what it normally looks like. And I actually ironed it with my iron. Okay, and then I just turned it over and folded and creased it so that it would fit. Let me show you another flip flap. It would fit in this nice large 8x12 flip flap. Okay, so that's what I've got right here. Now, here's something to know and remember. When you're working with newspaper, which is highly acidic, you definitely want to treat the newspaper first, okay? So before I ironed it and made it all flat and folded it up, I just used a product. I purchased a product on Amazon. It's a deacidifying spray, and you lay your newspaper out and you just spray one side, let it dry, turn it over, spray the other side. And that makes your newspaper clippings or the whole section of the newspaper 100% safe to include with your scrapbook story. So then I'm able to just slip that in one side of that awesome flip flap. And then on the other side, that creates more space for me to add more story. And I want to show you another really fun idea and another storytelling tool, if you will. I took the sheet of little tiny stickers that comes in the storytelling pack, And I used just a slice of grid paper, and I just added stickers all the way down, A through Z, and I created my very own ABCs of COVID-19. You'll probably recognize that those are stamps in the Stacy's Hands set. Look, I clustered stickers just like I showed you, and then I just came up with words, and some of my favorite words were isolation, joy, kindness, masks for sure, social distancing, T is for toilet paper, W of course is for wash your hands, Z is for Zoom, and then I just added a little check mark for just kind of visual interest to that design. So now I have this big additional layer. It doesn't come with the extended story pack, but it's a fantastic way for me to add that big section of newspaper. And I'm going to just sandwich that right in between my foundation page and these two layers. I now have the guts, right? A lot of really fun, colorful information for my story. And all that I need now is a beginning and an end. And I'm going to show you 2 additional layers that I'm going to add so I can document those important aspects of a beginning and an end and create this full extended story or like chapter all about COVID in my scrapbooks. All right, we have 2 additional memory protectors left. We have an 8.5 by 11 and we have a 6 by 6. I absolutely love to enlarge a photo and make it really big and then make that opening layer of any extended story. And to help me know what image to use, I'm going back to my questions. And right here, question number 6 says, what single image could you use to highlight your experience? Well, finding a single image was difficult for me, but I was able to narrow down a few. And I want you to see what I've created here. I'm actually going to pull it out of the page protector. And these images, you guys, of empty shelves in a grocery store. Here's my son in Mexico, and here's my kids where we live. It doesn't matter where you were. There was no toilet paper to be had. So as I thought about the beginning, how I wanted to start and then wrap up the story, I thought about this whole crazy thing of toilet paper. And I actually went to Costco this week with the intention of taking a new toilet paper photo. And I want you to know that that's something you can and should do as a storyteller, is not just scrapbook the pictures you have, but think about the pictures you need. So I used my phone. I set a reminder on my phone and I basically said, remind me when I get to Costco. And yes, our phones are this smart. I said, remind me when I get to Costco to take a picture of the toilet paper. And guess what happened when I got to Costco? I looked down and my phone said, new reminder. And I thought, well, what's the new reminder? And I opened it up and it said, take a picture of the toilet paper. So it was awesome. I took my daughter and we went over to the toilet paper aisle and I got this big photo that I have enlarged that shows that we are no longer out, toilet paper you can now obtain, which is just kind of fun. So then I just stamped my words, the Julian's Corona story, and this is my title page. I added toilet paper stickers and a few of those fun enamel dots. Now, question number 6, what single image? The other image that I just loved, you guys, was this. My daughter, and she's got a mask, and we were on a walk one day and someone had added a mask to this cute little bear statue that's near our neighborhood. And I said, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like there's just so much humor to be found. And so I wanted also to include that image near the beginning of my story. And I loved this that I saw on social media. It says, once this is all over with, I'm hugging everybody. Get ready for long, awkward hugs. I'm going to make it weird. And I just thought that combination of, again, photos and words really is a great way to introduce my extended story. So I take that and I slip it back into the page protector. And you're going to notice something that I love to do. I think it's so fun. I used some close to my heart foam letter stickers and added the stickers actually to the page protector itself. And I just think that's a fun texture, and again, is enough of a contrast in my scrapbooks that when you know, turn the page and you see this, you're like, wait, what is this? What's this about? And you recognize it as the beginning of a new chapter or a layered extended story. Okay, let's talk about this last page protector, this little 6x6. And I am looking for questions that will help me wrap up or recognize, you know, just the connection of events that we've experienced over the last year. So one of these questions says, number 5, list 2 things that for you are now inseparably connected. And what I wrote on my questionnaire was Cafe Rio and COVID-19. Cafe Rio is a restaurant my family loves to go to. You might remember that last picture of normal life was, you know, was our family with friends eating at Cafe Rio. 1 year later, we decided to go back. Of course, you can't eat in the restaurant, but you can pick up your food. We've all got masks on. And I just love how those 2 pictures are connected. And all through the pandemic, we would treat ourselves, you know, to Cafe Rio. We'd have to go pick it up, or we'd have DoorDash bring it to us. But 1 year later, what a difference, you know, between those experiences that we had. So I love including this insert card that has the word connected and printing a couple photos really small that represent some type of connection like that. On the other side of my 6x6 is really where I'm showing what is right now the final part, you know, the final event in this long saga, if you will. And that's pictures of me receiving my vaccinations. And I just used my little letters again, and I said, take that, COVID. All right, so now I just want to bring everything back over and review where we're at, all right? You'll remember that we started with a foundation page that's just photos and words, and that fabulous pocket that can hold so many fun additional items of texture. And you guys, you might have even additional things. Let me show you some of the other things that I found on my phone. I mean, how many of us took screenshots, endless screenshots, right, of memes? I love this one. It says, wash your hands like you just ate buffalo wings and are about to put on a wedding dress. That's hilarious. And then there's me walking back to the car because I forgot my freaking mask. Those 2 made me laugh. And I think they would be really fun to just mount on a piece of cardstock and then slip into one of these flip flaps and add to my pocket. You might want to add, like, here's part of my Cafe Rio story. This was a screenshot that said, you know, we're committed to helping you stay healthy, and it helps us order our food online. That could be slipped into my pocket. I'm sure, like me, you took screenshots of news reports and different graphic elements that helped us understand the impact that this pandemic was having on our world. Those are interesting things. You can put them back to back and in, you know, and in a flip flap and then into your pocket. So there's just so many different details and little bits and pieces that you can add. And because of the way your story is set up with a big pocket, you have room to do that, which I think is really fun. All right, so we've got that foundation page. And of course, we started by adding some Pocket Plus pages to it. We've got the things we never want to forget. We've got the newspaper and the big flip flap that I inserted right there. And we've got our title page. And then for me, I never quite know where I want to put my little 6x6. So I usually just flip through like it, you know, like I will once it's in my album. And I decided that I really like it. I think I really like it right here where I've got, you know, these pocket pages and this little one that says 1 year later, you know, those connected images. And then right here, I love the pictures of me being vaccinated. Take that, COVID, right across from that newspaper section that was how to navigate coronavirus. So all of those layers together create for me my personal experience with COVID-19. I'm not saying it's over yet, but we're getting really close. And before it's too much of a memory, I want to encourage you to slow down and begin to document it. Remember that you are a primary source for the future. Your story matters. Your story is not my story. We need everyone's perspective as we create this collective, as we document, I should say, this collective experience. Now, I have one final bonus idea for you, and it includes another story by Stacy Kit. This kit is called Stories I Love, and you guys, it's one of my favorites. When I meet people, they find out what I do. Quite often they will say to me, but I'm not a scrapbooker and I have no idea where to start. And then I tell them about Stories I Love. If you don't already have big scrapbook albums, and you do want to record some of what you've experienced, I would absolutely recommend a Stories I Love kit. This kit comes with absolutely everything you need to make a beautiful 6x8 album. It even has a beautiful imprint of Stories I Love on the cover. It comes with pages and they're pre-printed, and you can choose whether you want a gray or whether you want white. So as you build your album, you have lots of choices. There are journaling pages. I encourage handwriting. There's photo mats that are pre-cut, and the memory protectors. Now, the coolest part about this kit is what we call a workbook. And it opens up and shows you step by step how to be able to tell how to be able to access kind of that layer 1 information, layer 2 and layer 3, where we're really exposing some of our deeper feelings and the ideas and thoughts that will make our stories most personal and interesting. It walks you step by step through the process of actually writing your personal stories that are paired with some of your most favorite photos. You could create an entire Stories I Love album all about COVID-19. Or if you already have a Stories I Love album started, you could just add one single page. Let me show you what I've done. Just about a year ago, one of my friends contacted me. She's a photographer, and she said, have you heard about this idea of porch photos? And I said, yes. And she said, okay, I want to do it for your family. And so she said, I want everyone in your family to be on your porch next Tuesday night at 6:30, and I'll drive by, I'll stand at the edge of your yard, and I'll take a picture of your family on the porch. So if I were to select just one entry for a Photos I Love album or a Stories I Love album, that would be the picture. Now, in a kit, a Stories I Love kit, you get these awesome stickers that you cluster, layer, together around your photo. And I definitely used some of them. You can see here's this little circle with the heart and the striped pink and one of these little banner stickers. But then I wanted to add a few of those fun COVID stickers as well. And so that's what I did. I pulled off this purple house used to be right here and the toilet paper sticker, and then a few more of those fun enamel dots. And then what I did is just sat down at my computer and thought, okay, 1 year later, what do I really want to be able to, communicate about this experience? And I've done that, and I printed it out. And then I think it would be fun to even add a few more little stickers right here, which I will probably do. Okay, so that's it. You guys, I hope you recognize that there are so many awesome ways to begin telling your COVID story. And again, it's so important. Close to my heart, and all of their makers, thousands of makers across the world, stand ready to help you tackle this project and to make it super doable. We want to show you how. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, and then one final thing before I go, watch for another video because I have an additional bonus project I want to share with you. So there's going to be 2 videos from me with Close to My Heart. And of course, you need to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. I have loved spending time with you, and I want you to tell your story. It matters.